It's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to another episode of the Mike Prince Show. It is our mission to try to bring you some news that you could use. Today is no exception to that rule. Follow me on Twitter at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Our website, obnradio.com. And if you have one of those smart devices, all you have to do is say, hey, play the latest episode of the Mike Prince Show. And just like that, you'll have everything that you need. With all that being said, let us get into today's episode. On April 29th, the Panther Club will be having a golf tournament coming from Pasadena, Texas. You could get more information on how to register, sponsor, and just simply support Prairie View Athletics and the Panther Club. Reach out to Adam Washington at 832-588-1090. And on May the 1st, the Panther Backers will be having their 29th annual golf tournament from Houston, Texas. Now, Dino Robinson and the Panther Backers have been supporting Prairie View Athletics since 1995. And you can reach out to Dino for support and gathering a team together at 713-417-2090. Well, the Panthers went to College Station on last night to take on the Texas A&m Aggies in a midweek baseball confrontation. And the Panthers came up short by the score of 13-3. Now, before we get into that, let me remind you that the purple and gold game for Prairie View will be this weekend, April 22nd, from the campus of Prairie View. Time to start is at 4 p.m. And you get a chance to see the future Panthers display their skill sets, as well as embark on the Texas Southern Tigers being on campus to take on the Panthers in softball. So it'll be a great weekend. We'll be hearing from Coach Bubba McDowell in a recap of the spring camp. We want to let you know a programming note. We'll be hearing from Coach Clarence McKinney of the Texas Southern Tigers give his recap of football camp. And we're also going to be hearing from the Southern Jaguars head baseball coach, Chris Crenshaw. These will be scheduled for The Zone on Saturday. Release time for 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Now back to the Panthers baseball game against the Aggies from College Station on last night. Panthers lose 13-3, but at one point, the Panthers were up 3-0. Panthers used 4 pitchers on last night, but not in the way that I would want to have envisioned the Panthers. Now, I've always had a philosophy that when you're stepping outside of your conference and playing the more powerful and aggressive Power 5 opponent, there is a pitching philosophy that I still believe in today. And in just a moment, I'm going to somewhat try to validate that. When you know you don't have the consistent arms that a Texas A&m or University of Texas or any other Power 5 program would have, you can't throw a guy out there and expect him to go 4, 5, 6 innings throwing consistent 90-plus. You have to keep their timing off, and you have to be a little bit more crafty in your approach when it comes toward pitching. Well, the Panthers were in prime position on last night. Isaiah was the starting pitcher for the Panthers on last night. He ended up going 3 innings. At one point, he was up 3-0. But going back to the philosophy that we believed in is when you have a guy that's not throwing as hard as these guys are accustomed to seeing, you can probably get him through at least one rotation of the batters, and he would have a slight advantage. But as the game goes further and deeper into innings, those batters will make the necessary adjustments to that particular picture, whether it's the site of release, the delivery, pickup, or rotation of the ball, and then they'll start coming through. And that was a prime example of what happened on last night. Panthers were up 3-0 going into the fourth inning. Well, at this time, this is the second and third time for some of the batters of being able to get adjusted to the starting pitching of Prairie View. And the fourth inning was an inning from hell if you're a Panther fan. The Aggies scored 10 runs in the fourth inning to give them a 12-3 lead at the end of the fourth inning. Panthers ended up bringing out 3 other pitchers, but at that time, the scenario is totally different. The pressure is totally different. And as a result, the Aggies end up winning in 7 innings, 13-3. Now, it's not the end of the world, but it is something that really and truly is a bit frustrating from my vantage point, because we know what we're dealing with when we're going in on these particular situations and circumstances. We do not have the deep bullpens for that, but I believe in that pitching by committee when it comes to the non-conference approach, and even when it comes to tournament approach. When you get, say, out of that loser's bracket and things of that nature. But it's a whole different thing. Panthers will get ready to take on Alcorn this weekend. Panthers are 10-4 in conference play. You'll wipe this Aggie game out of the database, and you want to come out, hopefully, 13-4 at the end of the weekend. Panthers are a game and a half behind the Grambling State Tigers, who will be taking on the Southern Jaguars, who, by the way, are in the thicket of things yet again, as well as the Texas Southern Tigers. So the West continues to build, and it will be very interesting to see where all teams land. Currently, with the play of University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff and Alcorn, it is pretty safe to assume that Prairie View will be somewhere in that top 4, which will qualify them for tournament play in Atlanta starting May 24th. Meanwhile, on the eastern side of things, you got Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, and for right now, Jackson State, who has been a total abysmal as far as I'm concerned, are holding on to that number 4 position due to the fact that Alabama A&m and Mississippi Valley State are not necessarily playing up to par in the East. So although Jackson State is struggling, they still have a glimmer of hope to make tournament play. And once again, anything can happen if you get into the tournament. That's just the way things roll. But we're going to keep things rolling right along as well. Remind you that you will be able to hear from Southern baseball coach Chris Crenshaw. You'll also get a chance to hear from Clarence McKinney of the Texas Southern Tigers football program, and a whole lot more on this weekend's edition of The Zone. I am going to exit stage left for right now. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. I want to thank you guys so much for joining in with us on today. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.